make it up the parent team, Brewers. I just want to get my foot in the door, show them what I was able to do, what I could do. They got me up here, and I've surprised myself.
Ladies and gentlemen, how you guys doing? Once again, I am Chris Vitale. We are here with Tuesdays with Leroy, and today I want to welcome a special guest to the show. You know, we love bringing you stories that you haven't heard a million times, and this guy definitely has some, and there's some of my favorite stories. I can't wait for you guys to hear them. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Don August. How are you, Don?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here with you. Share some baseball stories. So let's do it.
It's what we're here for, my man. It's what we're here for. So now, before we start with the majors and everything that happened after the majors, which I can't wait to get to, you were on the 84 Olympic team. And I remember, you know, I was a kid. I was 10 in 84. And, you know, I remember collecting the cards. And, and that was a hell of a team. How did you wind up being selected? I mean, just coming out of college? Or, how did you wind up selected for that 84 team?
Well, it's still, amateurs are still being used in the Olympics at that time in 1984. Yeah. And that was my junior year of college. And up, you know, leading up to a couple of years before, you know, the Olympics were to begin, baseball got in. Since it was held in Los Angeles for many, many years and decades in Olympics before that, you know, a lot of people in the U.S. were trying to get baseball in the Olympics. One of the main guys that was really pushing for that was Rod Dado. You know, he was the legendary baseball coach at USC. So they pushed and pushed. So now they got it in as a demonstration sport. You know, it wasn't going to go on the official medal count, but we all going to win medals, you know, depending on what place you finish in the tournament.
Sure.
So now, a couple of years before that, they had to start preparing and trying to how they're going to put together a team. Because typically, they're using, you know, out of all the sports, you know, basketball in the Olympics is college guys. You know, for baseball, that's the summer that you're being drafted in. So a lot of the top juniors and seniors in that baseball season would be drafted, and they wouldn't be able to play because, you know, before the Olympics, they had these USA teams, and they traveled around the world playing these amateur tournaments all over the place. So they made a deal with Major League Baseball that they would the Major League teams can draft the college players. We can then travel around the country, which we did this tour beforehand. We played like in a 30-something cities and 30-something games, and you know, on the all over the country and everywhere.
Wow.
So it was a grueling pre-Olympic tour that we went on.
Yeah.
But we can sign our contracts, but we couldn't get paid until after the Olympics are finished. So we keep our amateur status intact, you know. So
that's a far
technicalities, whatever.
That's a far cry from now. Especially. Now, yeah. But that's they had you almost on like a barnstorming tour. It sounds.
Oh
like
God.
Yeah.
It was like every day we were traveling. We were so. I remember being so tired many a times, you know. And you know, Coach Dado, man, he was kind of a wacky kind of a guy, fun guy. You know, legendary, knew his baseball, and he was like, "Come on, guys." What was his saying? You know, you guys know what? You got to learn how to sleep fast. Was one of his things, and we're driving on buses, half open, our eyes open, and he'd have us sing these songs about McNamara's band and how we come in and pillaged the town and drank their beer and stole their women, and the women asked us to come back and telling the bus driver, "Whack it to them, Bussy, you're driving the young Yanks." You know, it was just this crazy thing, you know, and you know we're trying to make the team, you know. So, we started out with 31 players.
Yeah.
You know, there's these before that, like in the fall, there's these baseball tryout camps, and I went to the one that was out in Cal State Fullerton.
Okay.
161 guys show up for that one camp, and they're going to keep one guy named to make the team, and then have a top 10% list of that. So they're going to have 16 names on this list that they would kind of watch throughout the upcoming season. So I finished number 2 in that camp. Number 1 was Shane Mack out of UCLA. Shane Mack goes on, has a pretty nice baseball career in the majors himself. But I was the number 2 guy, so I was on that list. So as the season goes on, I'm having a pretty good year at Chapman College, a little small Division II school there in Orange County. But we played all the top-ranked colleges around. You know, we made road trips against Arizona State and Arizona, played them all. So I got some attention, and I was doing well enough that, you know, I had a lot of Major League scouts watching me. So I get invited to the 31 players that goes to Louisville. And then we train for a week there, and then we played 2 games. One was in Busch Stadium in St. Louis, and we played the AAA team the next game in Louisville, and we made our first cuts. So I survived that. We're down to 25 players, and we're going to get down to our final 20. I'm going to make a long story short here. I pitched well throughout that summer. We make our way through Houston, and I signed my contract while we're playing in the Astrodome. I was drafted by the Astros, not the Brewers.
That's
right.
I
was later traded a few years later. But so I signed my contract, and they announced the 20-man roster at the same day. So it's kind of a good day for me. You know,
I would imagine.
Signed my contract, made the Olympic team, and that's how they kind of roll it down. And God, we played all over the place. We played in like 12 Major League stadiums before Major League games.
That's awesome.
We played 5 minor league teams. We beat them all. It was just all over the place, man. It was an incredible tour that we went on. So that's how I made that team.
That's incredible. And then, you know, I mean, then those Olympics were in Los Angeles, and as a Southern California guy, you know, being, you know, kind of in a hometown environment, how did that feel? And I have to ask, that Olympic Village, you had some big names in there too, didn't you? If I remember correctly, there was one greatest of all time type guy that might have been in that Olympic Village with you.
Sure was. Before he was the greatest of all time, if you know what I'm talking about here.
I know what you're talking about. But
well,
why don't you let everyone else know? Yeah.
Well, yeah, the Olympic Village was incredible. We got done with that big tour. We finished our final game in Anaheim Stadium, and I had my family and friends there at that game. We played a local college all-star team. When that finished, the bus took us from Anaheim Stadium to the USC campus, which is where one of the Olympic villages were at, where the Americans were going to be. Sure. And a lot of other countries would be there too. So we pull in there, and there's this one of the big dorm buildings. I forget how many stories I have. I say 13, maybe 16 stories. The baseball team was on the very top floor. You know, then there's the wrestlers here, the gymnasts there, the archers, the canoers. I mean, everything. Yeah. So the good and the bad about being on the top floor. It took forever to get all the way up, and it took forever to get all the way down.
Especially if you're stopping at every floor.
We got to see everybody, all the different athletes, you know. So getting on the elevator, you know, you see these tiny little girls, and those were the gymnasts. And the big name at the time was Mary Lou Retton. She was like a big gold medal winner.
Wheaties box.
The big boxers were there. I forget the guy's name, but he was like real well known at the time. You know, the wrestlers, you saw those guys with their cauliflower ears, you know, big, thick, strong looking dudes, you know, and the whole thing. But then we'd run up with the basketball players. Now, you see these guys about close to 7 feet tall. Patrick Ewing was one of those guys.
Yep.
You know, little crew cut guy. Chris Mullen had great NBA career. But the guy you're talking about was Michael Jordan.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, I think somebody might have heard about his Air Jordan shoes or something like that. But I got to hang out with him before, you know, this was before he was famous. He was well known for that big buzzer beating or that big shot that when he won the national championship game with North Carolina.
Yep.
But we had 2 of our players on the baseball team went to University of North Carolina.
Oh.
So cool thing about the Olympic Village is they got these humongous tents that can seat hundreds of people, and food cooks there 24 hours a day. Whenever you want to eat, you go down there and there's something cooking, you eat. So I go down to eat. So I go, good stuff you like if you're an eater.
Yeah.
So B.J. Surhoff, who would be later my catcher in the Major League with the Brewers, he went to North Carolina. Scott Bankhead, another pitcher from North Carolina. So they're sitting down, and I see them, and then there's Michael Jordan, a North Carolina guy. So we sit down and just talk about how cool the Olympics are and how things are going and this and that, small talk. And So that's the first time I officially kind of met Michael Jordan.
That's
before
cool,
he
man.
was all everything.
Air Jordan, yeah, that's incredible though. I mean, that had to be something, especially. And you guys won the silver. You guys were at home. I mean, that's got to be an incredible feeling. I can't even imagine. That's absolutely incredible. So after the Olympics, did you go to Alaska? Was that something
Before.
like that?
I played in Alaska.
Oh, before?
Summer ball, yeah. I played 2 summers in that. After my freshman year and my sophomore year in college, I played up in the Alaska Baseball League, which was like the top college summer ball in the country. And so I had a couple of years up there, different things, up there playing in that state up there.
I bet. I bet. I've never been up there. It's got to be interesting. I mean,
I was surprised that they even played baseball up there, but I'd heard.
First I've heard of it.
The names. I told all the big time names of guys who played there in the past. And Dave Winfield, Tom Seaver,
seriously,
Chris Chambliss. I mean, the list is humongous. Even when I played, even after, you can see all these major league guys that played there. It was. You think baseball in Alaska? I'm thinking igloos, Eskimos, and polar bears, and whatever.
Yeah, whaling.
Yeah, good stuff, though.
No, that's pretty awesome. Okay, so that was beforehand. So then after the Olympics, 4 years later is when you made your debut with the Brewers.
Correct.
Now, what did that feel like? I mean, it's like, okay, you played with Sir Hoff in the Olympics. You met Jordan already. It's not like you're, just some kid that never did anything. But you wind up on the Brewers and you're playing with Robin Yount, Paul Molitor. I mean, come on. What was your first impression when you're like, all right, I like this? That was a hell of a team. I always loved that Brewers team.
Well, yeah. Well, I was originally drafted by the Astros. I was their first round pick. I was their bonus baby. And
you were 17th overall, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure, but I think you were 17th. I want to say I'm right.
17th pick, yes, that's correct. First round, 17th pick.
Man,
did your homework. You know what you're talking about here.
Little bit.
Yeah. Well, so the Olympics. So us guys who signed contracts. There's still 5 guys that would go back to college the following season.
Okay.
But us guys, like for myself, by the time the Olympics were done, there was like only maybe a couple of weeks left in the minor league season. And I pitched a lot of innings in the college season, then that tour, then the Olympics. So they also said, hey, we're going to shut you down, but we'll invite you to the instructional fall league thing that they had back then. So I go to Arizona with that. And that was the first taste of what professional baseball would be for me. And it was like basically it's a bunch of the guys that just got drafted and a lot of minor league prospects. And they kind of train these guys some more and they can see what they got and that sort of thing. So that was my first deal. So now I'm looking forward to going to spring training. And the letter comes in the mail one day and it's talking about showing up in February. Wait a minute. Minor league spring training usually starts about that first week of March or so. This is saying like February or whatever. So I got invited to major league camp right out of the get-go.
That's great.
Which is kind of I guess a reward to me for being a first-round pick and kind of got some notoriety by pitching in the Olympics and all that kind of stuff. So I'm happy as all can be. I'm going there, and next thing you know, I walk into that first day in the locker room. There's Nolan Ryan, of all people, a guy that I've watched my whole life as a kid when he's a California Angel.
Oh, man, yeah.
I put on the same uniform as Nolan Ryan. So Nolan Ryan, Bob Nepper, Mike Scott, Joe Negro. I mean, those were the big starting pitchers when I showed up here.
That must have been incredible. I mean, as a young guy, you're coming up and you see these names in the locker room. I mean, did they treat you like a rookie, or did they help you out at all? I'm curious to know.
They were. Those guys were really good to me, but it wasn't like, hey, it's all fluffy.
Well,
and
it's not like
but
it's not like you're coming in. It's not like you're coming in and Nolan Ryan's like, this kid August is taking my job. I'm Nolan Ryan.
I wasn't taking his job.
Yeah,
but
Phil Negro. Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, Negro, might have been about 73 years old at the time. So, maybe him, but yeah. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, I mean, they took me in. I remember being out there shaking fly balls during batting press. I'd be kind of standing by myself. I was only 21 years old. I'm just kind of, figuring things out. A couple of the guys, I remember Joe Sambito, big-time left-handed relief pitcher. Craig Reynolds was a shortstop, I remember them two guys walking, hey, how's it going, and talking with me and just, breaking the ice, making me feel part of the guys and welcomed and all that kind of thing. And you deserve to be here, blah, blah, blah. So that's fine. So now a few days later or whenever it was, we're pitchers, what do? We do all that pitchers fielding drills, covering first base and that sort of thing. And so this one time we're getting ready to get one of those drills going. And then Joe Niekro comes up to me and says, hey, you want to play catch with me? I got to get my arm loose before we do the drill. So I'm like, oh, yeah, sure, whatever you say. So I jump up, and we're playing catch, going back and forth. He's getting his arm loose. Then about after that fifth or sixth throw, he throws me one of his knuckleballs without telling me. And that ball was dancing like a butterfly, and I stab and miss it, and it hits me right in the chest, and the ball drops to the ground. And I instantly hear a bunch of guys laughing out loud. So I turn and look, and all the guys were watching. So this was like a setup. So they're all laughing at me. And I'm like, I started laughing too because I thought it was pretty funny myself.
It is, actually.
I think the guys were just trying to figure out if I was a good guy or not. How's the young rookie number one guy going to be, So that was kind of like my test. So that's part of, they teased you, but they took care of you. So it was all good.
Well, that's the thing. And that's what I hear from so many guys. It's like, they're going to screw with you. It's going to happen. But it is how you take it. They
don't like you.
Then they don't like you. Exactly. That's what everybody says. And, and that's one of my favorite things about it. That's I can't imagine, he waited till like the sixth or seventh throw to throw you a knuckler.
Oh, yeah, he was getting his arm loose. He was setting me up.
Yeah, that's just mean, man. That's just mean.
That was funny. Well, then another time, though, we're doing our workouts in the morning, and, it's time for lunch. Got the big league spreads. I find out later what the minor league spreads would be. Long line, about 150 guys.
Oh, yeah.
Getting like a little thing of soup where they pour you soup, and there's only left is the broth. And a celery stick was your lunch. Well, now in big league camp, it's like prime rib kind of food, chicken and this and that.
Exactly.
Really good stuff. So I was looking forward to going for the lunch break. And I'm turning around and jogging, and the coach says, hey, August, get back here. We need you to play catch with Nolan Ryan. He needs 3 more throws. So I'm, sure. I just say, hey, screw Ryan. Yeah, I'm going to go eat. No, I jumped right back. And I'm playing catch with Nolan Ryan. He needs my help here, And then later on, when we started the exhibition games, I bragged about this to my friends and family. So Nolan Ryan is only like 37 years old at the time, which is kind of old for baseball, but he'd last probably almost another 10 years. But not for him.
Yeah, not for Ryan. Yeah, not Nolan Ryan years. Yeah.
Right, not Nolan Ryan years. So when the exhibition game started, they write the lineup card up in the clubhouse, and they had the batting lineup, and then the pitchers who were going to pitch. And Nolan Ryan, at that time, all the starting pitchers in those first few games went about 3 innings, So many pitches, 3 innings. And then the next guy. But under Nolan Ryan's name is they had a little space. They put my name, and then the other guys could pitch. I was behind Nolan. If he couldn't finish his work, I was going to finish.
You were coming in. Oh,
I had his back. I was that guy. 21 years old, He got all his innings every time. Man, I was like, so I bragged to my friends, man, I had Nolan Ryan's back.
That's awesome. That's fantastic, man. So they traded you before that season? Like after spring training, or did you play?
Nope. So that was my first spring. So that was the 1985 season.
Oh, okay. So then
I played that whole season. I went to Double-A.
Gotcha. Okay.
Come back to big league camp again next year. Get sent down playing Triple-A.
I got
it was at the ending of that Triple-A season. Now the Astros were in first place in that Western Division in '86.
Yep.
So what do? They want to bolster up their big league roster, so they traded me, a prospect, and another pitcher for Danny Darwin, who at the time was a veteran guy, and so he finished the season out with them, and the Astros won the pennant and played in the NLCS.
Exactly. And that NLCS was insane because I've talked to a lot of guys that were on that Mets team, and they were just happy they didn't have to face Mike Scott for a Game 7 because they were convinced he was scuffing the ball. Whether he was or not, I don't know.
Well, he won the Cy Young that year.
Oh, he did, but I
don't know if guys were, they thought him up or not. I can't say anything about that.
I wouldn't ask you to. Well, but anyway, but yeah, that was an incredible series between the Mets and the Astros that year. That NLCS absolutely incredible. But anyone I've ever spoken to that was on the '86 Mets has always said we are just happy we didn't have to go to a Game 7 because we did not feel good about facing Mike Scott
Yeah,
in that
was hot,
situation.
man.
He was that was his year,
now
man.
A Brewer.
Yeah,
I was a Brewer now, so I was pulling for the Astros to win it, and it broke my heart when they didn't win. Because I knew those guys for 2 years, and
of course,
some of the guys who were on my AAA team were called up, and they're in the mix of all that stuff, and that was a great series, as you were saying. But what did it turn into? The Bill Buckner ground ball.
Unfortunately, yeah.
So I had somewhat of a butterfly effect on that in a certain way to make those events and the stars to align because of the trade with me not being there and someone else being there. Ground ball through his legs. It
is the butterfly effect. It is. It is. Who knows what would have happened? Who knows how it would have worked out had you still been in Houston?
The Red Sox could have won that series. You never know.
I mean, not for nothing, Don. I'm a Yankees fan, so I'm kind of glad that they had to wait a little while longer.
Okay, that's right. I get that.
Sorry, nobody's perfect.
Big time.
Oh, I know. I mean, that's a hell of a thing. I mean, so you've seen some National League action, with the Astros when they were in the National League. And then you've seen American League action with the Brewers when they were in the American League, which I never understood why they bothered flipping them. But anyway, it's a different story.
Yeah, I was with the Astros when they're in the National League. Now they're in the American. I was with the Brewers in the American. Now they're in the National.
Yeah, what was the point?
I know. There's alignment, politics of baseball, whatever. It always revolves about money or something like that. But,
always. But
so I got those years.
But I mean, the thing about the Brewers when they were in the American League, they were brutal. I mean, that lineup when they had a DH, oh my God! I mean, I don't know how anybody got those guys out. So playing with those guys, like I said, I mean, so what I was trying to ask before, but I screwed up. I screwed up the years, but okay. So you get there. There's Yount. There's Molitor. I mean, there's all these guys.
Oh yeah, I knew who they all were.
Oh God, what was that like? I mean, it
was different because my home, I was like brought into the professional baseball at the Astros, and I knew the guys, Nolan Ryan, all those big names, Mike Scott, and then boom, I'm traded. I was like, oh, I mean, I was saddened that, man, I love the Astros. That was my team.
Yeah.
I was just getting to know everybody. I was on the cusp of making the big leagues with them, and now I'm with the Brewers. I'm like, wow, I'm just another guy here now. They didn't draft me. They didn't groom me these.
So you didn't know these guys, yeah.
So I finished up the minor league season in AAA with the Brewers. The team was in Vancouver. So then that next following spring, 1987, I go to Major League Camp with the Brewers. And like you said, there's Robin Yount and Paul Molitor. In the clubhouse was Cecil Cooper and Pete Vukovich. There's those kind of guys are there. And so, all right, it's a new chapter, new beginning. I got to work my way and see what happens. And, and instantly watching Yount and Molitor, the top two guys for sure. Jim Gantner on the team,
Jim Gantner.
So, they were great, man. I saw that. And they had a great lineup, So in 1987, I start the year, I go down and I played in AAA. But that was the year of their streak team, if you remember. They won the first 13 games of the year. And Rob Deere hits the big home run, and Dale Swaim hit the home runs on Easter Sunday, which here in Milwaukee, they every Easter they play that over and over and over.
Oh yeah.
It's like how many years later, and that's the big stories. But they had some great lineups, man. They won 90-something games that year. The following year, 1988, is my year that I make it to the big leagues. And we were the last team to be eliminated from the playoffs with the third day left at the end of the season in '88. We came close. 2 games out of first place.
I remember that team. You had a hell of a year that year, too. I mean, I believe you went, if I remember correctly, 13-7 with a 3.09, which for a rookie season, come on. In that league, that's fantastic. It's a great
American
year.
League, Eastern Division, Man, I got called. I started the year in AAA. Then they called me up.
Yeah.
And I was in a groove. When I was in AAA, I was in a groove. They called me up. And I remember the day they called me up, they had me out in the bullpen. But when I got called up that day, they said, hey, you're here to be a starting pitcher. But we're going to sit you out in the bullpen just in case something happens. Just go out there and watch the game. Like, all right, sounds good to me. I'm in cloud 9, I mean, just remember walking out in County Stadium for the first time on the field. This was a big league game that I'm going to be a part of, and just you feel like, man, I made it. All the times they didn't call you up through the years in the minors when I felt they should have. I had that bitterness. I was pissed because, hey, it means I felt like I should be there. Yeah. So finally you make it, man, and here it is. So I go up in that bullpen, and I'm watching the game, and the starting pitcher's doing a great job through the first 4 innings, but then he hits a little road bump, and the Angels were playing against the California Angels, my hometown team. The game's being televised back to my family.
Yeah.
Only a couple of people knew I got called up. They didn't know yet. Just my mom and dad, my brothers, immediate family. Because, man, you have no time. The night before I'm in Denver, the next day I'm in Milwaukee, and you don't have much time to call people. So it's being televised back home, and I think people are going to be able to see this. But I'm on the bullpen, and the guy gets knocked out in the 5th inning, but they called another one of our relief pitchers in. So he's going to finish up that 5th. When he goes out there, the phone in the bullpen rings again. It's Tom Troublehorn, the manager, calling down to the bullpen, and the coach Larry Haney answers the phone, and he turns to me and says, "Hey, you got the next inning." So there I go, man. There's my next inning. So I'm warming up and getting loose, and oh my God, I'm going to get in the game already. I knew I was going to pitch 4 days later and start in Seattle, but this was good to break the ice, So
exactly,
I wouldn't be as
get
nervous,
in there. Get it out of the way. Exactly.
So Haney, I remember he said this. It was great advice he gave me. He said, "Hey, don't go out there and try to do anything different. Just keep pitching how you're pitching when you're in Denver. That's what got you here. Take that out there and do that," which is good advice because, as a young guy, your heart's pumping 100 miles an hour, your adrenaline's surging through you, and then you're going to think, I'm gonna overthrow because these are big league hitters. I got to throw it extra hard. Just stay within yourself. Just keep doing what you're doing. And I went out there, and my first batter in my big league career was against Bob Boone. He's been around forever.
Yeah.
I get him to ground out to third base, ground ball to Mulder, throws across the infield, get that first out. Next batter, ground ball out, ground ball out. So I get my first big league inning, 3 up, 3 down. But I remember when I was jogging about from the bullpen to the mound, in County Stadium, they had the bullpens out behind the right center field fence. I go, God, this is a long run out here, man. Don't trip in front of these people. There's like probably about 20-something thousand people, whatever it was there. Don't trip and fall, keep your feet. Don't do anything stupid. But I went up there and I pitched the next inning. Then after that inning, we were losing when I came in. We scored a bunch of runs there in the bottom of the 7th inning. And then back in them days, now they hardly do now, but back in them days, we brought in our all-star closer, Dan Plesac. That's in the days when guys pitched multiple inning saves.
Oh, yeah.
So he went in and pitched the 8th and 9th, 2-inning save. First day in the big leagues, I get a win. So
that's as good as it gets. I mean, you perfect inning your first inning. You get the win. Then come on. That's great. And that wasn't even your first start. And then you got the start after that.
Yeah. So that broke the ice.
Yeah.
My next start was like 4 days later in Seattle. I did a good job there. I went 7 innings. 2 runs, 1 earned, but I lost the game 2-0. So I kind of took a loss. Hey, the heart luck things bad luck happens there too.
Yep.
But it was in the Kingdome, and it's great to be in the big leagues, man. Flying on a charter plane across the country.
Exactly.
Big league hotels, big league meal money is
people carrying your bags. Yeah.
You don't touch your own bags. Someone else takes them up and down.
That's as good as it gets. That's as good as it gets. So now, I mean, 1989, you're there, your sophomore season, Major League comes out. You had mentioned, you come out, people want some autographs, but there was somebody else, that you traveled with the Brewers that apparently became a rock star in 1989 because of Major League.
Sure. The movie Major League. I went and saw that movie. It was a great movie when it came out.
It was still a great movie.
Stadium.
I know.
Filmed in County Stadium. They're the Cleveland Indians, but
I believe my brother-in-law was an extra. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure he was there as a younger guy, as one of the extras in the crowd. Yeah,
probably was.
Yeah,
what they did was during our games, towards the end of it, the announcer in between games said, "Hey, anybody who wants to stay after the game for the shooting of the Hollywood movie Major League, you can be an extra." Blah blah blah. So I remember that, and so those guys were in town while we were playing. While they come in afterwards and start the filming, and ran into Charlie Sheen at one of the little local bars after a game one night, and
that must have been something.
And he was a lot more. Well, He was a lot more calm, but he was still kind of crazy. If you can try to picture all that. But yeah, so yeah, that movie was big, and the thing about it, it was like, what we're getting at is, I'm playing with Robin Yount and Paul Molitor.
Oh, sure.
Hall of Famers to be. Great. I mean,
absolutely.
It was incredible to watch these guys play every day. I made myself consciously think, hey, take this in, watch these guys. These guys are great. Just don't take it for granted, So I just watched how they played the game, just how fast their hands were, how they conducted themselves, how professional they were, and all this kind of stuff. And everybody knew them. They were all stars. So, getting to now, the guy that we're going to talk about is Bob Uecker.
There he is.
Like one of the stars in that movie, Major League. And he was famous before that. All those Miller Lite beer commercials he made, Johnny Carson's show, Mr. Belvedere was big at the time.
Yep.
So anyway, we'd leave a ballpark, and maybe I'm one of the first guys coming out, and there's always between the stadium and getting onto the bus, there's all these people wanting autographs, and they got them roped off and pushed back, and they're reaching in, and a guy like me comes in, and they're screaming kind of loud. There's a bunch of them who want my autograph. I'll stop and sign as many as I can, and I'll make my way on the bus. Well, then I can probably hear while I'm signing, like a Robin Yount or a Molitor come around, and the place starts going more crazy. Forget about me. They're reaching. It's getting a little bit more frantic, I
bet.
Well, to top those guys off was Uecker. Uecker was the rock star. I mean, he's topping out Robin Yount and Paul Molitor. I mean,
that's awesome.
The ropes were coming down and people were grabbing. He could not stop. If he stopped, the place would have just been a melee free-for-all, in there.
It's like Elvis coming out of there.
And people, stop. They're begging and screaming. He just had to shoot right on that bus, or else it would have been craziness. So, he was real big at the time. And he's a funny guy. He is one of the funniest guys there is. He's got his own regular personality amongst the guys and stuff. Then he's got his personality too, his TV personality and his radio personality and his movies and stuff. Sure. But he's naturally a funny guy. He just is always cracking jokes, and they're always funny. I crack jokes. Most of the time they're stupid, and I don't get a laugh, and people look at me and like I'm then I crawl back in my little hole, But Uecker is always funny. He's always got a good little quip here and there,
Yeah, I mean, he just always has. I mean, he's just, even from his playing days, he had some quotes. I mean, what was he, like a lifetime 200 hitter? I mean,
something like that.
But everybody loved him because of his personality, and and like you said, I mean, once those Miller Lite ads came, and I remember being a little kid, I'll still watch them though, just because they're hilarious. I mean, you'll see a Miller Lite ad. There's him. There's Billy Martin. There's, I mean, all these guys are in it. Imagine trying to get one of those beer ads now with these guys. It would cost like $70 million.
Those there. I watch on Twitter. Someone plops them on there, and you laugh at the poop owl and the umpire being blind. And,
Rodney Dangerfield comes out to pitch. Now,
everyone knows the quote. What's Bob Uecker's big quote? He got made famous.
Oh, I must be in the front row.
Must be in the front row. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that was just humongous. And then what's his big quote out of the movie Major League?
Oh, just a bit
little
outside.
bit inside.
And it's great, man. I mean, that must have been something. That had to be a hell of a time. And like I said, I do have family that are Brewers fans that are going to love that for sure. So after Milwaukee, you started traveling and playing around the world. I mean, not just playing around. You started.
Yeah.
You like Taiwan. You Italy, I believe you played in for a while. And I mean, so that's got to be something completely different. I mean, if you don't speak the language, unless you somehow speak Chinese.
Well, you got to figure it out. Starve or die or get food somehow.
Exactly. So as long as you can order, if you can order food, you're good. But so I mean, so that transition, so where did you go first? Did you go to Italy or did you go to Taiwan?
Well, I'll just break it down real quick. I was in Major Leagues with the Brewers, and after the 91 season, they wanted to take me off the 40-man roster, which enabled me to be a free agent, so I chose that route. I go to spring training with the San Francisco Giants in 92, and a little bit before Major League Camp starts, the Giants make a big trade. They trade Kevin Mitchell, all-star outfielder, big home run hitting guy. Trade him to the Seattle Mariners for 3 Major League pitchers. So I was going there saying, hey, you got a shot at winning the 5th spot or the long relief role. Well, now I got 3 more guys in there. So
Three
I
starters?
don't make it. I get sent down to minor leagues.
Yeah.
Then they release me. And then I start playing in the minor leagues. I played in the minor leagues with the Tigers the rest of that summer. I don't go to spring training the next year. So I start the 93 season in the Mexican League. And this is like kind of where my international career kind of starts.
The wanderlust. Yeah, exactly.
So I always felt if you had a uniform on, you had a chance, you can get brought back to the big leagues. Someone can see you if you're hot, if you're doing good.
Of course.
So I go to Mexico. Well, halfway through that season, I get a chance with the AAA team of the Indians. I'm there with these couple of new guys who are going to try to make up the big leagues, these minor leaguers. I think their name was Jim Thome and Manny Ramirez, A couple of
Never
guys
heard
like
of them.
that. Yeah. They probably combined for about over 1,000 home runs in the big leagues or something like that. So I got to see these guys go. We won the International League that year, so that was cool. But I'm trying to get back. I can't find a team. I go back to the Mexican League, play a whole year there. There's just the craziness of playing in these different countries. And by the way, I'll throw in, I'm in the midst of getting a book made about my foreign travels.
Oh,
So
I would
I'm
assume.
talking about all these things about Mexico. And I play there, and I get back again, a little stint with the Padres for end of the 94 season. I played like the last 2.5-week seasons for their AA team.
Okay.
Then there's a strike that goes on. I get signed by the Pirates. That was during that replacement thing. So all these teams are calling me about replacement player. I'm going, no.
Didn't want to be a scab.
Chance, but then the Braves and the Pirates get a hold of me, and I make a deal with the Pirates not to be a replacement player. I'll be invited if there's a regular Major League, Big League camp as an invitee.
Makes
Looking
sense.
good. Well, there's a strike that went all the way through spring training. At the end, they resolve it. So I start the year in AAA with the Pirates, 1995 now this season is. And then, the Major League teams started the year with 28 players. So at the end of spring training, they had to cut guys down. They started with 28 guys. Then about 2 to 3 weeks into the season, they're going to trim that down to 25. So all these trickle downs coming down into AAA. Well, eventually after the first month of the season in AAA, they say they're going to release me. Now, before that, the scout that drafted me with the Astros, he knew these guys that can get guys to play in Taiwan. So he goes, hey, would you consider going to Taiwan? I go, you know what? Let me think about this. And my thought was, baseball was in such a mess at that time. The fans were upset about the whole
Everyone was
thing.
pissed. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. The 81 strike was only 4 years before that. Now this big strike occurred, and there was no World Series in 1994, and it was just ugly. The trickle down thing was going to go on.
I know.
How am I going to get back into this? I didn't know if I'd get back in, and if I did, what kind of a chance would a team really give me? So I told Reg, I said, hey, tell your guys, I'll go to Taiwan. I figured I'd go there, make some decent, because they paid pretty decent money for guys who had Major League experience to go there.
Sure,
So
I bet. You're drawn.
See what Asia will be looking like, make a little money. I'll come back the next year and see what I can do. Well, the next thing I know, 5 years in Taiwan goes by. And, boy, playing in these foreign countries, just a lot of crazy stuff happens.
Well,
In my book, I got all these stories in here. But then after my 5th year of Taiwan, I played in Italy for 1 more year.
Okay.
Through my years of playing internationally, I had teammates, American guys, come around that had played in Italy. Said, hey, they said, before you ever hang up your cleats, before you think you're done, play 1 more season and go to Italy. You'll love it there. All right. So I always kind of filed the way up there. So after my last year in Taiwan, after 5 years, we'll talk about Chinese and stuff like that. You have to learn to speak these languages. I had to learn how to start to speak Chinese. So I go to Italy. I have to learn to speak Italian, which is very similar to Spanish. So
if you're around baseball and you can pick up Spanish. So if you speak Spanish, you can kind of understand a little Italian.
Well, I had to do the Spanish thing.
Yeah,
I played the Mexican League for 1.5 years. I played in Puerto Rico for
Italian
a
must have been
Dominican
easy.
Republic. So Spanish.
Italian must have been easy.
But Italy was cool. I loved it there.
I bet the food was good. I bet, you weren't getting screwed on the food. Yeah.
Wine. I drank so much wine there. I never drank wine. I drank more wine that season than my whole life put together still. The wine was great. It was inexpensive. You go up these places, you get these carafes of wine. The first one I tried was the white wine. Oh, this is so good.
Oh, yeah.
And I drank it all the time. Then I tried the red. Like, oh, this is even better.
This
oh
is
my
great.
God. I drank so much wine there. But the food was great.
Yeah.
The playing there was great. You know, I was in a great city. I was in a place called Rimini, which is right on the Adriatic Sea, which is in the northeast part of the corner of this country, just below Venice. So it was a great vacation place.
Yeah,
there's people from all over Europe vacationing there in the summer. I lived maybe a mile from the beach. Oh,
man, you know, I mean, to me, that sounds a little better than being, you know, well, I have to play in Billings, Montana this year.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
No offense to anybody from Billings, but
no offense.
Venice, Italy, Billings. I'm sorry. I think I know where I'd rather be. But
it was good. I'd walk to the beach every day, and when it got kicking in their vacation time, the beaches were packed.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
The Europeans, you know, I mean, now if you understand, have you ever seen or been to a beach in Europe?
I have.
So I guess I got to say the obvious.
I think
the
we know where
they're
this is going.
topless.
Yes,
so now you're going on these, you know, the people in Italy, they got these great bodies because they eat well, believe it or not.
Well,
they eat a lot, but they eat very well.
Yeah.
They walk, they ride their bikes, they're very healthy. So I can't help it. You see these women with these tall, slender bodies wearing the phone and going topless, and I had to wear my sunglasses, so I just didn't make things too obvious. You know what I mean?
It's so true, though. I know. I've been there, and I same thing. Thank God for the Ray-Bans, because it's just like that's too much. Oh my God! Sorry, I'm dying. Because I'm thinking about the first time I ever went to a beach in Italy, and it's like I've only been to Italy once, but I got to go to a beach, and I didn't want to leave. I don't know.
Yeah,
no wonder they told you to play there
the weather
for a
was
year.
warm.
The food, the wine, the beaches, oh my God!
Great food. It was good baseball. Then the good thing about that was my team. We won it all. We won the Italian League Championship that year. So.
Awesome.
So they call that one is Il Scudetto, which means that's the champions of the league. So we won that whole thing, which is kind of cool. And
that's awesome.
What's cool about playing in Italy was you had a lot of time. So the team put me up in an apartment by myself.
Nice.
Some of the younger guys, American guys who were there, had to bunk up together and share a car. I had my own car. I had my nice little apartment, less than a mile away from the beach. We would pray. We'd have practices on Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and Thursday night. At night, because the Italian guys, they don't pay that much money there. To me, I got paid. It was like a free vacation to Europe, you know?
Yeah,
it was just good.
Yeah.
But these guys had to work jobs and then play the games at night. So we practiced at night.
Okay.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then we would travel or play at home the Friday night game. That's the only game me as the American pitcher. That's the only game, a starting pitcher I could pitch.
You would pitch Friday night?
Friday night game. So we play a Friday night game. We'd have a Saturday doubleheader, which I just watched. And then we had Sunday off, Monday off, and then we were off until like Tuesday night. Like our practice was like about 8 o'clock at night. So you had all this time off.
Yeah. This is like a baseball vacation.
Yeah, it was. Like during the week, I was at the beach all day long and got to my practices or got to my game.
Yeah.
Then we had those off days at the end. I jumped on trains or the little car they gave me. I drove all over the place, man. I went to Rome a couple times. I went up to Venice a few times. Went to Florence. I just for the heck of it, we were playing on the road this one in a place called Grosseto. And I said, Pisa, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, that's not too far. So I woke up extra early, jumped on a train, went to Pisa. I forget, it was like an hour or two to get there. Got off.
Why not?
I knew I just had to walk down the street, and I walked and walked and walked. I kept looking down every time we got to a corner. It's not there yet. You know, finally I turned, boom, there's that Leaning Tower just going sideways. Went to the tower, checked it out, walked around. All right, back to the train station I went back to where I came from. So I had a great time. And plus I had some great teammates. And other American guys who were on the team. We had a great time. The Italian guys were awesome. Like almost all of the guys spoke English. And they always made sure I was being taken care of. Everything was cool. And they were great. And
well, you were the major leaguer that was there. Of course,
I was the big league guy helping them out. We won the championship. And it was just a good, fun year. And I was glad that I made that my final year, that I did take that advice.
That was great advice. But hands down, that's great advice. So now you had this great year in Italy, but before that, there was a little something that happened playing Chinese baseball, and this is something that I've read about. I've read you tweet about. I've heard about a little bit, but I've never heard you specifically talk about it. And I'm pretty sure nobody's heard you talk about this.
Yeah,
so
I know
we
what
have
you're
to,
talking about. Yep.
I have to ask you. There was a gambling scandal apparently in the league, and you're pitching in this league, and you got approached. This is kind of like the Black Sox in 1919, but a little different.
Yeah.
What the hell happened, man? Because this is a great story, and I don't know. I mean, I have a feeling that you could read your tweets about it, and when your book is out, please let me know because we'll push this book for you.
Well, that'll be in there.
Absolutely, but people need to hear this from you. So if you don't mind, without further ado, Mr. Don August on the Taiwanese gambling scandal. Mr. August.
Well, here's the story. I'm in my second year now playing in Taiwan in the Chinese Professional Baseball League. So, I'm on a team. We're a bad team. We're scuffling a little bit. We're in last place. And the season's moving along. And well, to start the season, one of my American guys on the team from the year before that I played on this team, so it's my second year. And we're kind of hearing rumblings about there might be some of this gambling stuff going on in the league. So we're like, well, really? We're not sure. We're kind of hearing that these gamblers or gangsters are getting involved, and guys are maybe throwing games or participating, to win or lose by so many runs and that sort of thing. So I wasn't sure. And that my buddy, his name is Tony, and we're like, God, we sure hope this isn't true. But our eyes are going to start to open up. We're going to start watching closer to see if we can notice anything. So as we start to really pay attention, we're not really seeing anything going on. But, you're unsure. And then when you're watching closely, if something looked kind of suspicious, you're kind of like, oh, wait a minute now, is that happening? So that's how it started kind of to build up a little bit. After one of our losses, we were a bad team. We blew games. So after a blown loss, I know Tony got fired up one time and started screaming, hey, I hope you guys are not gambling. And he screamed it all out. This is kind of like hearing it through the grapevine. Is this rumor stuff or not? So, but nobody said anything, and okay. So now we're kind of pushing into about the second part of the season. About 2/3 of the way through. We're playing at home in our home city of Taichung, and we're playing against the elephants that were based out of Taipei. The elephants.
Okay.
So, in the
He
dugout,
disappeared.
we noticed there's. Oh, are you there?
I'm here. There you are. Okay.
There I am.
Good.
Kind of float out there.
I can edit that. We'll fix it in post, as they say in the business.
We'll fix it. We can do it.
I don't know what that means, but I can fix it later.
It will get fixed.
Yeah.
So we noticed that in the other dugout, the elephants dugout, there's a lot of security around there, and we saw and we heard about some guy got hit in the head by these gangsters. He got pistol whipped. So he's got this big old thing wrapped around his head, this gauze white thing on his head.
A player?
Yeah, a player. So we're like, what the heck's going on here? So all of a sudden the rumors are starting to go. Something came out that they did something that crossed the gangsters in some gambling. That's what we started hearing.
Oh.
So one set of gangsters told these guys on the elephants, you got to win or lose by this much. But the other set of guys told them they got to do this, and they got caught in the middle.
Oh,
and they couldn't tell them no, I guess. So now they were put in a spot. So after that night before when we played that game, they go out to some bars, and the gangsters that came out on the short end of the stick found these guys and forced them back to their hotel rooms and was upset about wanting their money back and this and that. And the one guy in the team, one of the players on the team, Taiwanese guy, thought he's going to be the tough guy and pop off to one of the gangsters. The guy pulled his gun out and just pistol whipped him across the head. So that's why he had the bandage on the next day. So they were threatening them and this and that. So we heard that. We go, okay, this stuff must be kind of real now.
Yeah.
So that was kind of an interesting thing that took place. So Now, I remember now specifically when I really started seeing who my teammates were possibly doing it. I remember pitching in a game, and the guy does one of those swinging bunts, and the ball's slowly rolling down right on the third base line. My third baseman, a Dominican player, he goes up to it, and the ball was rolling, and it was going to slowly roll foul. It was going foul. He grabbed it just before it go foul, and then looked up. Of course, the guy had it beat up. No
He was
chance
at
to
you.
throw. And he, oh. And I said, what? I go, dude, that was going to go foul. When I looked in his eyes, I can just kind of go, wait a minute. Something didn't look right here. So, funny thing, next week or so, he shows up with this big, brand new, very expensive watch that he just went out and bought.
Oh,
so
just
me
happened
and Tony
to buy.
are starting to go, hey, that's kind of suspicious, you know. The pistol whipping thing later on, about a week or so later, grabbing the ball, brand new watch. And so we're kind of getting the hint things are happening. Now, here's where it really gets crazy. I don't know if it was about a month or so later, or a few weeks later. It was getting more towards the end of the season. In Taiwan, they have these things called KTVs, which means karaoke TVs. It's where people go there and they sing. You get your private room. They bring food. They bring drinks. They have people coming in and singing and doing stuff with you and the whole thing. And the guys, my teammates would often take me out, or friends that I knew there in Taiwan would often take me out because they always wanted me to sing the English songs, you know. And it made for a great night and that sort of thing. So we did this quite often. Well, one of the guys who was affiliated with our team said, hey, Don, let's go. You want to go to some guys want us to go to a KTV. All right, I'll go. So it's the usual. We'll show up there, have some drinks, have some fun, do some singing. You know, it's a good time. And so we show up there, and they're all over. These, I mean, literally, you go on a corner and look this way, in all four directions. You'll see many of these KTVs.
Oh,
like in the same building, 2 to 3 of them.
Oh, I believe it. I mean, that happens in New York City. If you go like in the 30s in Midtown, where it's like just the kind of Koreatown. I mean, they're everywhere. They're up on 3 different floors of buildings, and so I can only imagine there. It's just everywhere. Sorry, go ahead.
So we go down. He finds us. We go in. We go up the elevator. It's like, I think it's like up, say, about the 10th floor. And we walk in, and it's a bigger room than normal. And there's a lot more people in there than I know. And I didn't really recognize anybody. But I thought maybe some of my friends who I know would show up later and whatever. So me and my buddy, we go sit down at this table, and there's people up singing away. And there's they start bringing drinks, and we're talking and just hanging out, looking around and this and that. And then, I don't know, probably there for not even, maybe it's 10 minutes. I forget exactly. But this Taiwanese woman walks towards me and approaches me. And in English, she says, hello, how are you? What's your name? I go, oh. So I told her my name, and she says, what are you doing here? I go, I'm here. I play baseball. You know, I play for the Jinghua, or the Sinon Bulls now, that we were called at that time.
Sure.
And so she's acting like she's making small talk, and are you enjoying Taiwan? Just the usual kind of stuff like that, being nice and friendly. And so I'm having a few more drinks, and she's talking some more. And then finally she kind of says something to me like, hey, do you know what the untruth game is? And I went, oh.
Wait, what?
So all of a
Untruth
sudden
game?
my jaw just went, because I knew what now she was getting at. The untruth game is playing these games and not playing them truthfully, cheating, skinning runs and do what you got to do. And
wow.
So then she's kind of going on like, okay, I thought I was going to be quiet. I'm just going to ignore it. She goes, hey, there's a guy over here. He wants to know if you want to do this. And I'm thinking, now I'm thinking, okay. So now I'm scanning the room, and I'm like, oh my God. The reason why I don't know anybody, because all these guys are probably gangsters. And there's the main guy. There's this one guy who probably is about 15 to 20 feet away from me. He was in the big chair, and everybody was around him. He was the big guy. I go, oh, there's the freaking boss. That's the boss right over there.
There's the Godfather over here. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, now I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to get out of here? So I'm looking down. I'm thinking maybe I'll just scoot out the back door and go down the stairs and get the heck out of there. So she says, oh, you're looking sad. What's wrong? Oh, no, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yeah.
She goes, you see that girl over there? She points across the room. Do you think she's pretty? I go, yeah, she's pretty. You can have her. Oh, all right.
God.
I go, well, I don't know. I'm thinking, I don't think if I can do this here. She goes, they'll give you $10,000 just to think about it. You can keep it no matter what you say. Just to think about it, $10,000 American. I'm going, no, I don't want none of that. Don't give me that. She goes, you see that girl over there? You can have her too. So they're often making all these offers to me and offering me this big money.
God.
I was the words I was kind of hearing what people were getting. If you throw or participate, you get about 10 to 20 to 30, maybe 40,000 US dollars doing it. Gambling is big time in Asia, particularly Taiwan, on these baseball games. So these gamblers and these and gangsters, they get it all rigged, man. So I'm thinking there's no way. So finally, I look up there. I said, no, I ain't gonna do it.
Yeah.
I go tell him. She says, are you sure? She goes, if you don't do this, you will lose the rest of your games through the season that you pitch in. I go, that's fine with me. Just tell him I ain't gonna do it.
Yeah.
So I had the feeling, man. I had my integrity, man. I didn't want to ruin my name as a Major League Baseball player.
No.
I had a small son. My son was probably, let me think, he was like 4 years old at the time. I wanted my son to be proud of me about being a baseball player, not to eventually get arrested and thrown in jail and have my name smeared and all that kind of stuff.
In Taiwan. Yeah,
in Taiwan, right?
Yeah, where's your dad? Taiwanese prison. No.
Yeah.
No, that's
so needless to say, so now she walks back to the guy, and I'm just watching her like, okay, what's going to happen? So she kind of bends over and starts talking to his ear, and all of a sudden he puts his head up, and he looks right at me, right into my eyes, and we make eye contact. I'm like, oh, shit. And he's like, about 3 seconds, 5 seconds, whatever it is, he stands up and just yells out in Chinese, whatever. Within about a second or two later, the music just cuts out.
Oh.
It's quiet. Everybody starts standing up, and now they're making their way to the exit. And I'm like, oh, boy, I pissed him off. What's going to happen to me now?
Yeah.
So now my next thought again was, let them all walk out the door. I'll find my way up the back and take the stairs down and scoot on out. Well, they're going, no, you got to leave too. Yeah. And they're shooing me towards the door.
They were sending you out too?
They're pulling me up. We all got to leave now. So
that's a good sign.
This is supposed to be the big party celebration of me joining forces with the gangsters, and I just killed it.
Yeah, you kind of shit on it right there.
I've seen all their faces. So pushing me to the elevator. Elevator opens. I go, oh, you guys go. No, get in. Because then I was just trying to lag back and just get out of there.
Yeah.
Now, before this, my first year, there were stories about this one American player. I forget his name, but he got tossed off of a roof and got killed.
I read that.
Word was something about he did something with gangsters or this or that. The official notice was he was depressed and committed suicide. Well,
sure he did. Sure,
that's going through my head. The guy gets pistol whipped shortly before that. Now I'm going into an elevator, and I'm like, oh god! So I'm the last guy in. The elevator shuts right in front of my face, and everyone's behind me.
Oh god!
All of a sudden, the elevator was going down, which is, whoa, that's a relief, because if we were going up, I knew we were going to the roof and over the edge. I knew I was going. So the elevator's going down. Now, to me, it was going down so slow.
Exactly.
It was like in slow motion. And now I literally was waiting for someone to put a wire around my neck and choke me out and kill me right there.
God.
I was waiting for that.
Oh.
I was waiting for that. Finally, I go, 3, 2, 1. Finally get there. The doors open up. They go to the left. I shoot to the right. I'm out of there. I find the guy that brought me there, my buddy. I said, what the F was this, you son of a bitch?
What the hell was that?
I'm going to kick your effing butt and blah, blah. Yeah. He's like, I'm sorry. He's ready to cry. He goes, they told me I had to bring you there and all this kind of stuff. And
oh, my God.
So it was all set up. And they
set this kid up to drag you there. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, the thing I think I had 5 to 6. I think I had 6 more games I pitched for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And I was 5-0 with 1 no decision.
Really?
So I pitched great. So much for them saying if you don't do it,
you're going to lose every other game.
Yeah. So I got out of that.
Yeah.
That one third baseman wasn't that much later that we released him. Word kind of got out, and I think the team heard. And they cut him loose. So he was gone.
So that's good. So there's still some integrity there. That's good to hear. I mean,
so the season ends, and now the next season.
You went back? Wait a minute. Wait. You went back after all this
I went back for 3 more years.
Oh, God. God bless you. Okay.
Well, here it is. So next year they start a new league, a second professional league called the Taiwan Major League.
Okay.
I ended up going into that league. But during that off season, word got out about this. There's a big scandal. You can read all about it. Look in the internet, find stuff on that. And many players got arrested. Many guys were banned for life, fined.
Moses.
One team is called the Black Eagles thing because they're the Eagles. They had so many guys in trouble, they couldn't field the team that they had to borrow players the next year.
They couldn't even field 9 guys. Wow.
The fans are incredible in Taiwan. It is like if you see the biggest high school football game with the band, the music, the playing, multiply that by 100. And that's what playing a baseball game was like in Taiwan.
That's got to be fun. That's got to be a lot of fun.
Banners and banging drums and playing horns and banging these wooden things together, and it's just it's all game long. It's just intense. People running back and forth. So now when these fans, they're true to their team. They love their team. And when they found out these games were the untruth game, they shut off the Chinese Professional Baseball League, the CPBL.
Wow.
That next season, I mean, from games being sellouts every night, and the game's televised throughout the whole country. Your game's televised throughout the whole country every night.
Yeah.
And maybe a couple hundred people would show up to these games. Now, me and the new league, we're like selling out the stadiums or pretty close to it most of the time.
Yeah.
Because we're the clean new league. Well, that next season, I'm in a new team, but I run into my buddy when we're playing in Taichung, and he goes, "Hey, I got to ask you, I got in trouble with some gamblers. I need some money." I go, no. He goes, I go, tell these guys if they want to bet on me to win. Don't bet on me to do losing. I have nothing to do with it. And my buddy goes, I know. I had to ask. They made me ask. Because all the gangsters know that you won't do it. So I guess the word got out. I stood up and held my ground, didn't do it. So they go, they know you won't do it, but they had me try anyways. I go, okay, that's it. So that was the last I ever heard of that. And I played 2 more seasons after that, a total of 5 years in Taiwan. So
incredible. That's incredible. That's one of the best baseball stories I've ever heard. It is. I mean, that's not something you hear every day. You can hear all the hazing things you want, and some of them are amazing, but that's out of this world. I cannot wait for this book. Tell us about your book a little bit. When's this coming out?
Well, I probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I had a guy help me start it out. There's another part. It didn't get to the forum part. So this book is basically mostly about my travels around all these different parts around the world.
It's going to be great.
Mexico,
it's going to be great.
The Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, then to Taiwan, Italy, and then I went to Australia and we trained it. So
it's going to be great.
Stories, all these just crazy things. It's from the viewpoint of being an American player. Major League
it's going to be great.
Really allowed me this to play baseball in these different places and these different cultures, and just how the game is slightly different. All the weird, crazy, out of the ordinary things that always seem to find me happen. So I wrote a bunch of stories about these things. When I wrote this all on my own, I wrote up about 445 pages.
Wow.
So I got a guy now to write it. So what they do is they take your information, basically 445 pages of it, and he's writing it, stories about my stories.
I got you.
So we're now a lot done with that. There's still work to go. It takes forever.
I can imagine.
And we got a connection with some guy out in Hollywood that he's a big-time screenwriter for TV shows, and he knows.
This would have to be. I mean, I could see this being a movie. Absolutely. I mean,
but he knows some people, publishers and literary agents. So we're delving into that right now. We got a connection to set us up. We got the material.
That's amazing.
It's mostly written now, rewritten, and he's hoping. Now he told me this: if by next spring training, if we can possibly have something published and out, because maybe it might take longer. But that's the goal. But we won't know. Well, we got to get the literary agents and those people going first.
Exactly. And you know what? Who the hell knows if we're even going to have a spring training at this point? So you might have a little more time, and then you might have a strike. I don't want to get into that. We can get into that another day.
Yeah. Oh God.
But don't wait for him to say the next spring training, because it might be 2022 at this point.
I think there'll be a spring training. They'll have a spring training.
I had heard today from one of our writers that they're thinking about maybe just starting up in May. and it's going to be the same stuff, keeping the media out of the clubhouse. Who the hell knows? I mean,
I
don't
think
know.
we got the vaccines around the corner.
Yeah, we'll
Football's
see.
played their season. Basketball's getting theirs. We're going to be outside.
Yeah.
A number of months down the road, those vaccines and this and that.
I'll tell
I
you,
think
you
we
know,
got a good shot.
I hope you're right, Don. I hope you're right. But you know something? You know who got it right? Oddly enough, was the NHL. Somehow they got their season finished. They got the Stanley Cup finished. Nobody got sick. Granted, everybody got stuck in like Edmonton for 3 months, but you know, but they got it. They got it. So
I think,
you know,
I think we're on the way of getting this thing taken care of. So
I think so. I think so. I need to. It'll definitely start. All I know is I want to go to a game, man. I picked a hell of a time to start a business related to baseball last year. So
that's good. You got into the meat of it, though, man. You know,
hey, man,
that's what baseball season's all about.
Exactly.
Ups and downs and the trials and tribulations.
Exactly. If we can get through this part, man, we can
do anything.
It's gonna be smooth sailing, Don.
Heck yeah. You think? You hope so. But I think they'll start the season. Maybe partial crowds can come in, but I think
so.
I've heard by the summer that we should be good to have full stadiums again.
I would think so. You know,
and I think that'll happen. I don't know that, but I think that'll happen.
Ready. Well, I like that optimism, and I share that with you because I'm ready for it. I need. You know, granted, yes, I just moved, new house, but still, I need to get the hell out of the house. I need to get to. I need to smell the grass and the popcorn and the beer, and you know, I need to get to a game. And I think we all do, and I think we all miss it. So,
yeah, well, I'm having a great time. I love talking stories and baseball. It lets me reminisce and reflect, and you know, so it's fun to be here. So there's plenty more. The book,
hey man,
might be
come back anytime you want.
Foreign Affairs. So maybe if that pops out, you see that. But hopefully we'll talk again. Hey, call me anytime you want. We'll do another one. There's many more stories I could tell you about.
We'll do this. Yeah, no, we do that. We do this a lot. That sometimes the real fun ones, you know, we all have a couple beers and we get 3 or 4, you know, retired players, and you know, we all just talk. We talk shit, so it's fun.
Sounds good.
Mr. Don August, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Can't wait to have you back on. Thanks again, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you soon.
All right, cool.